budgeted, it's on track, and it's actually up over last year, up 12% higher. Part of that is due to a one-time payment, but just under half of that is due to sales picking up in the city. So we're really excited about that. Building and codes department permits are up by 204%. Sign permits are up 268%. Plan reviews are up 729%. That tells you quite a bit about what's going on in East Ridge. So again, Parks and Recreation, I'll highlight those really quickly. Revenues, indoor soccer was exceeded our expectations. Field rentals are up 1.5 times what we expected. Basketball up 126% above what we had budgeted, and almost football was almost that high. Cheerleading 160%, court fines 82%, and only 66% through the year. So things are going really, really well. I can't overstate. Of course, the city treasurer, I always look for better. I always look for savings and ways to improve, and we'll continue to do that. So, if you have any questions about the report at this time, I'd be glad to answer those.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Last night I got a phone call from a citizen. He asked me to explain the difference between the actual and the unaudited, and I couldn't. I told him I would find out.
Sure.
How you determine those.
Yeah, and actual is after an audit has been conducted at the end of the fiscal year, and our audits are conducted in the fall after we close the books. We close the books June 30th, and in the months that follow that, we work with auditors to basically check up on the work we did. That provides us with the actual numbers. So you actually, I should use that word, you get your actual numbers for the year before and the years prior. This fiscal year, all those are unaudited numbers because the auditors have not yet reviewed those numbers.
All right, well, let me give this an example. But he looked at the general government bill, he seen this $769,000. Then he looked over and seen, and he read it that we have already spent $505,000. And then unaudited, he didn't understand the $682,000, which I didn't either. So you're saying this is what we are projecting to come in and it hadn't been unaudited, or we're projecting to spend?
Well, fiscal year 14,
yes, sir.
year-to-date audited actual is what we spent last year at this same time.
Okay, so it's not the 14-15 budget. It's not. This is not part of the 14-15 budget.
Well, the unaudited number, which says fiscal year 15,
Yes, sir.
year-to-date unaudited. So that is what we're spending this year.
This year.
And the column before that says fiscal year 14 year-to-date actual. That actual means it's been audited, and those were the numbers for the same point in time last year. And the reason we have those two columns there is that you can compare 2 points in time, same place throughout the fiscal year. Actual and unaudited is just the terminology we use in finance to say that one's been checked by an auditor because last year's numbers have already been.
But then you're saying we are right in line with the average year-to-date of 66. Over here on, just follow that line on that.
The average, yeah, and then if you go over to average year to date, we're 66% through the year.
Right.
That gives you a point to compare
So
to.
that's where we should rate, right?
Well, if everything always went evenly, then that's where we would, yes. Some things we get payments up front at the beginning, like our audit. We've already paid all of that. It came in under 100%, but it's well above 66%. Some things are going to come in below 66%, and at the end of the fiscal year, they'll stay there. But on average, you want to be close to the average. That's for most
It's
businesses.
kind of like property tax collections,
Yeah.
where the first few months of the fiscal year, it's going to be very low, compared to if you broke it down, split it evenly over 12 months.
Yes, sir.
Whereas you make it all up because you don't start really getting that money until
They were 50%
halfway
in
through.
February, and they were a lot less 6 months ago, or 4 months ago, but next month they'll be 90%. So they'll, it just depends on the source of revenue, depends on the expenditure, And again, that's why I'm here to answer those questions, so I'm glad to do so.
All right, outstanding. If we don't have any more questions, we will proceed to new business. That would be resolution number 2462, item A.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Atlanta Pyrotechnics International to provide a fireworks display at the city's 4th of July celebration.
Make a motion to approve 2462, on it's no more than $8,000.
We've got a motion, do you want a second? Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2462. Have any comments or questions?
I think they said, you say they said it's gonna be moved this time as what it's before.
Yes, sir, they're going to spend as much money as we're putting into this one.
That's scheduled 10 p.m. Friday, July 3rd.
July 3rd, 10 p.m., yes, sir. And all that, everything's situated. We're moving forward, got an ad coming out. We got TV stuff lined up for James Rogers to be on TV for the 23rd, for the Peters to be on TV to promote the big July 3rd deal. So everything's moving forward like it's supposed to.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to the barbecue cook-off.
You're entering, aren't you? That's what I was told.
All right. Mr. Manning mentioned some information that would, if you want to.
Close with children, you don't come and explain it to them about the fun you're having at the arena, about the kids' clothes and toys and stuff, starting.
Oh, you talking about the, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Talking about just between friends.
Yeah,
Just Between Friends, which is one of the biggest consignment organizations or businesses in the nation, and we have them here twice a year, and they do a great job. And Stacy, which used to be Peck, I can't think of her new name, but Stacy runs that, and she does a great job. And I think, Councilman Manning, that it starts tomorrow with certain people that have assisted, and then it opens up to the general public. Actually, the lady that cut my hair today was excited because she's a pregnant mother, and she was going to go there for her first time, and she knows she's going to have a girl, and she's going to go do some shopping.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. Do you have anything else? Okay, Janet, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Manning.
yes.
Councilmember Sewell.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Motion is approved. Item B, resolution 2463.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving bids for the purchase of fencing materials to be installed by city staff at the Camp Jordan Amphitheater.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Bid we got was for 10,800.
59 and 40 cents.
I spoke to Stubbs since then. Does that include the hog rings? That bid?
Either, the bid does not include the hog rings. If I need to take those out of my 329 budget, I'll take the $200-something out of that to make sure that we get, because we need the hog rings.
I don't know why we shouldn't just include it in there. We need to do that. Yeah, just do
Oh,
that.
that's all, yeah.
Sounds good. Absolutely. So if we want to,
I'll make a motion to add that, do that, for the full amount, sir.
do you want to, just for ease of doing this, do you want to withdraw your second, withdraw your motion?
Withdraw my motion.
Withdraw I withdraw my original motion.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I
You can go with a new motion.
wait.
Motion to amend to include the offerings for approximately $202.
Motion, second, new motion.
So right, it's a motion
I'll
to,
make a motion to approve the bid in addition to including the cost of the 5 hog rings. To the bid.
But can we quantify a specific amount?
It's in
It's in the budget, it's in the stuff.
10,859.40 with hog rings of $202.86.
Was that, was the 202?
Stump, what's a hog ring?
I'll explain.
Hey, please, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
It's a real thick wire that's hooked, it's sharp on both ends. You take a set of pliers, and you use it as a puller to clamp your top wires to your bottom wires and rings.
That total, by the way, is $11,062.26.
$11,062.
26 cents.
Sorry. Jack, why didn't you fill that?
For me, I thought it was gonna happen all.
And the fencing materials?
Right, that material would be provided by Stevens Pipe and Steel. Which is the staff recommendation.
Yes, sir, very large cap caliber, that's it.
All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Gravitt to approve the purchase of this material for the total of $11,062.26.
Yes, he said.
We have a second. Any other comments or questions? Okay, Janet, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gravitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Manning.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Motion is approved. Item C, Resolution 2464.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, in support of the Ringo Road, Camp George Parkway, and I-75, Exit 1, intersection improvements, more specifically, alternative 2 of the traffic impact study.
Before we get a motion, I'd like to ask, is this the alternate two thing that they're talking about?
Yeah.
Where they're putting in the red light, traffic light, that we're calling the traffic study?
Yes. There's some.
Yes.
Yes, it's altered too, and the reason why we have been asked for the resolution, now remember, this is just a resolution, this is to start the process, is because TDOT has offered to put in $1 million of a $2.1 million project. We are going to attempt to find more money. Actually, I think it's going to be closer when it's all said and done, because they've got a couple of, Paul Deggs, the assistant director of the department, has some changes, so it could push it up to about $2.5 million. We're going to try to find additional funds where the city will not have to pay anything. So we feel like this is this helps TDOT go ahead and start the process with the Federal Transportation Safety Board about this intersection. This is a federal highway, so they've got to go through them. It's a 9-month process, and we were told that there's no wiggle room with that 9-month process.
Right. The best case scenario, Steve Allen from TDOT had said best case scenario was 6 months to get that approval, more likely 9 months to get that approval from the Federal Highway Administration. What this does, if you'll look at a little overview, it changes what is currently exit 1A on 75 North. Whereas right now, that's one lane, and it forces you right off the interstate down toward the state line. What this will do is it actually does away with that veer to the right, puts a traffic light there, and it has 4 lanes, potentially 5 lanes, that will come to that red light. 2 lanes will be turn left lanes, 2 will be able to shoot straight across into Camp Jordan, and 1 will go right down toward the state line. It also impacts the on-ramp where exit 1B currently is a clover leaf. It loops around and sends you west on Ringgold Road, or I guess technically north, but it really is west. That will go away. You will exit at the reconfigured exit 1A. Exit 1B goes away, the current on-ramp goes away, and there is a new, longer on-ramp that actually cuts right through where the current loop is at exit 1B. And I hope this is descriptive enough to give everyone some idea of what we're talking about. TDOT likes this plan for a couple of reasons. One, obviously it helps traffic flow better in this area. But number two, it eliminates a significant safety problem with cars attempting to merge on to I-75. I think if you've tried to get on I-75 right there, you know what we're talking about. You've got some cars trying to wedge over to hit that loop at exit 1B to try to come over while people are coming on the other loop south of Ringgold Road to try to merge on, and it's just a mess. And
Eliminates the clover leaf.
Yes,
You better hope
it really does.
Faster, you gotta get on all.
Mayor Coppinger was over in Nashville, day before yesterday, yesterday morning. And I had lunch with he and some other Hamilton County officials, and I spoke to him about the county possibly helping out with the cost of this project, and he was receptive until, based it on whenever we get some hard numbers.
And Arcadis has provided some numbers that I think they'll need to firm up,
But he was wanting to know how much the developers are putting in, how much is the city of East Ridge putting in, how much is TDOT putting in, versus the total cost of the project.
right. And as a worst case scenario, with contingencies built in, Arcadis says this is potentially a $3 million project total. However, what TDOT has also offered to do is to take care of the engineering, which knocks about 10% off that price. And they're also going to put, I'm sorry, about, $3 million worst case scenario.
Okay.
Yeah, potentially as little as 2.1 million. TDOT's going to take care of the engineering. They have essentially devoted or promised $1 million toward this project. Because again, this helps them. Of course, there's all this talk about the changing of the interchange there, the split 75 and 24. That project is probably decades away from happening. But what this does in the meantime is it helps alleviate one of the severe dangers of traveling in this area. So TDOT likes this a lot. And it's just a matter of us coming up with probably a safe estimate would be $1.5 million, which could, as the city manager said, could come from various sources. County could chip some in. We could, theoretically, this could be state street aid money that we put into it. There are a number of different things that you
If we should
could throw at this.
in this project, actually we get it back from the state.
And potentially that's out there.
Well,
It's not confirmed, but it's potential.
one of the things that caught my attention is the $3 million price tag for this project. And if you look at the scope of work for this project, and we've already given $4 million for the development project, and this is going to cost $1 million less, I'm just comparing there. So anyway, everyone keep that in mind in the future is what I'm saying.
Has anyone talk to the developer, see if he's interested. I mean,
He is, yes, they have offered to put money into it.
I think they ought to put all.
Well,
I'm just plain talking, I'm sorry, that's why I put.
I think, quite honestly, I think this plan, however we get there, is in the best interest of City of East Ridge, because as we saw this past Christmas with the Nights of Lights, it can be an absolute mess. There's not enough storage capacity in that left-hand turn lane going on to Wright Street or onto Camp Jordan Parkway currently as it's configured. And that would actually be another part of this. Part of Camp Jordan Parkway that connects the residential area on Wright Street part of Camp Jordan Parkway actually goes away. So we insulate the residential area from the thousands of cars that go through into Camp Jordan. So all the folks who live down I'm looking kind of back there, I see Roy back there, my friend, lives over there. That residential area gets insulated from all the traffic that will be going into the new development, but also into Camp Jordan for all the various events that we have.
Part of that's going to be 3 lane now, over the bridges and stuff.
Right, and there's actually, on the overpass over 75, there's actually enough space currently as it's constructed to make that 3 full lanes of traffic both ways. And that will be done, simple matter of restriping. So this is a good plan for East Ridge. We just need to say to TDOT through this resolution that we like this plan, and they will get their wheels started, and it gives us the ability to get our wheels in motion as well. And again, there are a number of ways that we can skin this cat.
Whenever I was first approached about this thing, I was given this picture here, and LLC down there was one that approached me to give me this. They were saying that Bass Pro was pushing for a better entrance into their business there.
Well,
And we have no property involved in this. This all belongs to the state and the Bass Pro that they're going into. And originally, this was the LLC's project that was took to TDOT. TDOT told them to approve to them that it would work, and they would climb on board with them. That's the way that I understood it, coming from them down there. And I'm all for this, but I hate to see us put any more money out down there for the LLC and the Bass Pro project.
Yeah, and I understand that, I do, I get that. What I'm looking at, take Bass Pro out of the equation altogether.
I mean, if it had been our idea, instead of
Right,
their idea.
right. Yeah, this does a lot for traffic in that area. And again, as we saw, there were a couple of nights for the Nights of Lights, I couldn't get off Raleigh Road. The traffic was backed up all the way that far. I couldn't even get off the street to get to the grocery store.
You can walk wherever you can get there.
Right. So this is going to increase the capacity to move cars, and it's going to do so by leaps and bounds over where we are right now. And so I understand it's difficult to divorce the Bass Pro Shop and this development from this, but even if you took all of that development out of view, and this is a really good project for East Ridge.
Mayor, the council, TDOT will not work with private developers on a project, just the city. So we're gonna
So
have
they
to
didn't tell
be,
me the full truth.
they didn't know the full truth until they started. They wanted to get it approved from what I understand. I don't know what they told you, I wasn't there, so, but I don't think they fully understood that TDOT was going to not be able to work with them, and they have since found out. The only way they can do this if the city is involved to agree, not monetarily, not financially, but with this resolution and that sort of thing. The money has to flow through us.
Really, TDOT wants to know that the city wants to do this project or would like to see it happen. And TDOT's not gonna do anything if the city where the change is gonna take place doesn't wanna do it.
So tonight's vote, we're not obligated.
We're not obligating any money. We're just saying, TDOT, we really like this plan.
Sounds good with Christmas tree lights, I agree with you there.
And
But the way it's
potentially,
presented to me, it was all for these people right here.
understood. And like I said, and I understand totally that, you know, there may not be a desire to do anything else for that development group. But even if they weren't a part of this picture, I just think there are so many potential good things that come out of this.
It would be a great idea because we've had a lot of wrecks.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, that we go ahead and approve the resolution 2464.
We do have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. Do we have any other comments or questions?
One thing I've got on it, I think it's a great idea. But I think before we'll get it through, we need to find how much money we gotta come up with, what we can do. But I do think it's a great idea. It would help quite a bit.
I understand that. And there are some pieces that we don't have yet.
And this is not a binding financial commitment.
It just gives,
You don't know.
all of it, we'd like to move forward.
And what they said too is that gives them the opportunity to go ahead and start that clock ticking on that 9-month process with the Federal Highway Administration. So that when we figure out how to get all of this done, that we don't have to stop for another 9 months for that, yeah. So, we do have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2464. If we have the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
But yes,
Councilmember Manning.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. And Vice Mayor Gravitt had asked for item D to be on the agenda initially, but he has also requested that we take it off for tonight. So we
We'll withdraw, yeah, it's a moot point right now. Let's just, let's just withdraw it. I'll request it.
Okay. So we will withdraw item D. And that will do it for this evening, folks. All right, thank you all for being here this evening.